How do I intro this book? Let's just say, don't let the cute bears fool you. Welcome back to Comics Are Dope. I'm BJ Kicks, and this is my review and overview of a brand new trade paperback from IDW Publishing. This is Beneath the Trees, Where Nobody Sees. This is the debut series of writer and artist Patrick Horvath, with letters by Hassan Otsman-Elau. And this book, man, I was not ready for this. Got to give a huge thanks to IDW for sending this over for me to review, by the way. This one's not for the kiddos. This one basically it's a murder mystery set in a world that looks a lot like the busy world of Richard Scarry, if you are old enough to remember the Nick Jr. days, right? And there is this bear, this brown bear, and her name is Samantha Strong. And we're going to do a whole overview, but I just wanted to show you a few of the first pages, right? So this bear, Samantha Strong, basically, she's got a bit of a secret. She is a serial killer. And she lives in this small town called Woodbrook. It's one of those idealistic small towns where like everyone knows everyone and there's no big box stores. You go to the hardware store to get your hardware. You go to the butcher shop to get your meat. And so it's a really small, tight-knit community. And even though Samantha is a serial killer, in this town, she's a model citizen. She's got one rule. You don't mess with the locals, because if she were to disrupt the order in the town, it would just kind of ruin this ideal life that she's living for herself. Well, when there is a murder in the town, she's got to figure out who in the world did it so that the spotlight doesn't end up on her. And what happens over the course of the 6-issue series is just a lot of intense thrills, some misdirection, a pretty, great murder mystery. I really enjoyed it. I'm giving you my spoiler-free thoughts ahead of showing you the overview. But even in my overview, I'm literally only going to show you pages from the first issue and one moment that happens later in the series, because everything is a twist and turn. Plus, this book, like I said, isn't for the kiddos. And there are some, pretty gory scenes of violence. And so probably not suitable for straight up overviews, but I still wanted you to know that this story is pretty good. So spoiler free thoughts. I thought this was a great way to spend a Saturday morning. I read this in one sitting, and I'd probably give it like a 9 out of 10. My only real issue with it, I don't really have an issue. I don't really have an issue with it. I just suck at rating comic books. So let's call it a 9, let's call it an 8, let's call it a 10. Whichever. I thought it was really good. And let's just skip to the overview so you can see why. All right, so it's time to dive into one of the best comics I've read as of late. This is the Eisner nominated Beneath the Trees, Where Nobody Sees. This is written and drawn by Patrick Horvath with letters by Hassan Otsman-Elau. And this book, I guess I'll to go with the pull quote from Cy Spurrier, is a bright, shiny, vile gem of a book. This book is great. I think the buzzword that will describe this book is subversive, and it's true. This is a subversive book. It's one of those books where, things are not as they seem. Things aren't as they look on the surface. I think, the cover shows it best. We've got a cute, fuzzy bear clearly dragging a bloody bag across the woods. So, you're in for something that you've probably not seen before. Looking at this, it says, home is where the heart stops. And straight up, this finally murder and forensics are adorable. And then there's a pull quote here from Tony Fleece, which is really fitting considering Tony Fleece kind of made a name for himself on Stray Dogs, which has a very kind of similar subversiveness. But anyway, this is a book published by IDW. Trade paperback is out now in stores everywhere for $17.99 is the cover price. It's a trade paperback. It's the same size as a standard comic, same size as a Marvel trade paperback, if we're just looking for size comparisons. But I want to get straight into the overview. Now, this was a 6-issue miniseries. So, and the type of book it is, it's basically a murder mystery. So I can't show you a whole lot of it. I'm going to show you guys the first issue, and then there's a spread that I want to show you. So I've got it marked so that I don't spoil anything for you. But let's just go ahead and get into this. Like I said, it's written and illustrated by Patrick Horvath. And what's crazy is this was his first comics project as writer and artist. He'd done art on a couple of different things, like including Ice Cream Man. He'd done a couple of variant covers, but this is basically Patrick's comics debut. And that is crazy to think about. So what's this book about? Well, basically, this is like a murder mystery set in like the world of the busy world of Richard Scarry. Like you've got this, we're in this fictional town called Woodbrook, and it's basically like the ideal small town where everyone knows your name, everyone knows everyone, everyone makes time and space and room for each other. And we're quickly introduced to our main character, our focus here. This is Samantha, Samantha Stone, the brown bear. What's her last name? I forgot. I'm so used to calling her Brown because she's a brown bear. But anyway, Samantha is the important part. And Samantha owns the local hardware store. And she just loves living in her small town. But what we learn about her in this first issue is that she's got a bit of a secret. She likes to leave the small town that she lives in, Woodbrook, and well, let's just say she's a serial killer. That's the best way to put it. And so this super cute world just gets super gruesome really quickly. And so she's got a secret. She's a serial killer. As you can see, she, goes out, kills a random victim, hides body parts in paint cans, and, does her thing, and then just kind of leaves and goes back to her small town like, nothing ever happened. And that's her secret. That's the life that she lives that no one knows about. And in this book, there is an event that happens. Basically, her rule is, well, yes, I'm a serial killer, but I'm never going to murder anyone in this small town that I live in because everybody knows each other. Somebody goes missing, then that kind of just destroys the peace that my life would have. Well, let's just say there's a murder at the end of issue 1 that just sets everything in motion. And so the whole crux of this story is Samantha has to basically find the murderer so that she can clear her name, or so that she can get the spotlight down before people turn to her and realize that she's a killer and she's been doing crazy stuff for the number of years that she's lived in this town. Like I said, I don't want to spoil anything. It's a murder mystery, so there's a lot of twists and turns and things, and you're better off not knowing anything about it than me to actually flip through and potentially spoil something. But there is one thing that I do want to show you, because like I said, the buzzword to describe this book is going to be subversive, right? This is one of those books very similar to Stray Dogs, which I reviewed in my best of 2021. Stray Dogs was a book about these really cute Don Bluth animation looking dogs who found themselves being adopted by a serial killer. And so each issue, you're looking at these cute dogs, you're falling in love with the sort of Disney stylings, but you're feeling so bad because you know that they're not going to come to a good end, right? And so it's subversive. It's the juxtaposition is weird. Your brain doesn't process it well. And this is very similar. This is like in this busy world of Richard Scarry inspired universe. Everyone's friendly. The sheriff is a dog. The local hardware store owner is a bear. The butcher is like a cat weasel thing. Like there's just all these different people who would inhabit like the world that you would see as like a preschooler, right? But besides the fact that this is subversive, it is actually a very twisty and turning murder mystery. And on this page specifically, it kind of turns into something else entirely. This page, as Samantha is trying to solve this murder, figure out who in the world is trying to frame her for these things, she goes through this moment where it's like she knows she's about to get caught. Her demons are catching up with her. And there's this part, right? That says, look at what's beneath the surface. You struggle in fear. It overwhelms, but you understand that every last bit of it is a part of you. And that is like just a simple explanation of what body horror is meant to invoke. Like all these scary images, all these things. It's not the things that you're afraid of. It's you that you're afraid of, what you've become, and how far you've gone down the wrong path. And so what I really love about this book is that fact that it's like she's got to come to terms with who she is, what she's done, while trying to evade capture and all that. So I'm not going to show you any more pages because, like I said, it's best if you know nothing about the story. But there's a reason this book got nominated for Best New Series Eisner. It is awesome. I read this super quick, like over the course of maybe 40 minutes in an emergency room waiting room. But anyway, I absolutely loved this book. I think you will as well. Like if you're in, like I'm not really big into horror, but I wouldn't describe this one as a horror book. It's got some horrific imagery, of course. It is a book about serial killing, and you saw some of the gruesome nature of things. But to me, this book is more of like a thriller, a gory thriller, but a thriller, a suspenseful murder mystery. If you like stuff like Reckless by Brubaker and Phillips, I think you'll enjoy this. But yeah, there's a lot to enjoy about this book. Obviously, would not recommend this for kids. So I'm gonna have to put this on the shelf where mine can't reach it, because that would be traumatizing. But great book for adults. And that's it. That's my review. Go out and grab it. It's available everywhere now. You can grab it on Amazon. Stop by your local comic shop. If they don't have it in stock, you can actually special order it. It's available through the book market and the direct market. So you can get your hands on this book. Huge thanks to IDW for sending it over for review. I'll see you guys in another one real soon. Until then, stay safe, stay awesome, and read something dope today. Peace.